Today I'm going to go through the To Kill a Mockingbird written responses that you will be writing over the course of the next week or so. I want to go through this step by step. This way you can access this information anytime when you're at home working on your paper. So the directions. First, you need to choose one of the following questions to answer thoroughly. Secondly, you need to make sure you have a thesis statement that's typed at the top of your assignment, and your response should be 1 paragraph in length. So what I mean by putting your thesis statement at the top of your paper, if this is my paper, I've got my heading here, then I'm going to provide my thesis. Then underneath the thesis statement, I will begin my paragraph. So the thesis statement is not part of the paragraph itself. It's going to stand alone. Your paragraph must contain one quote that's properly cited from the text as evidence, and your response needs to be edited and typed using MLA format. Paragraphs must also be submitted to Turnitin.com, and this assignment is worth 50 points. That's 50 points for one paragraph. That's pretty big. MLA heading, let me remind you what that looks like. In the upper left-hand corner of your paper, you're going to put your name, so Joe Student. Then you will put my name, Mrs. Cook. After that, you will put the title of the class, which is English 1 Honors. And finally, you will put the date. It's going to be the date that the assignment is due. I'm going to pretend for a moment that the paper is due on September 1st. Notice that I have the day, the month, then the year. Also for MLA format, you're using Times New Roman font, 12 point, double spaced. All right, so let's take a look at the response choices. You have 2 choices to go with here. The first is every parent-child relationship is different even within the same family. Write a paper discussing the effect parents in To Kill a Mockingbird have on their children. So we're looking at the effect parents have on their children. The thesis statement must address the impact of a parent's relationship on his child. Then in the body paragraph, use 2 examples to prove the thesis statement. My suggestion would be to only write on one parent instead of trying to have 2 different parent-child relationships in one paragraph. It's going to get really congested and it's difficult to prove your point that way. The second topic is maturity. Maturity is exhibited by many characters throughout the novel. Based on the novel, what causes a person to mature? Your thesis statement should include what caused a character to mature. The body paragraph should examine the maturation of one character using 2 specific examples. Make sure to include what causes the character to mature. I noticed that this is incredibly redundant. Causes the character to mature. I cannot emphasize that enough. Please do not just write a paragraph that shows me that a character is mature. Instead, I want you to prove to me what is it that caused the character to become a more mature person. All right, so those are the actual prompts. Let's take a look now at the rubric. The rubric looks exactly the same as your summer reading assignment rubrics did. So in 9-8, paragraphs earning a score of a 9 to 8 response. They respond to the prompt by creating an effective argumentative thesis statement, which we will be talking about throughout the course of our writing unit. Throughout the essay, the author supports and develops his position by successfully synthesizing, justifying, and citing evidence from To Kill a Mockingbird. Synthesizing is taking information from the text and using it within your paragraph in order to help support your points. Justifying it is applying that information to your argument, to your thesis statement. And citing it is giving citations if it's a direct quote. All textual references are specific and are applied to the thesis. Don't put anything in your paper that you don't apply back to the thesis statement. Otherwise, it's useless. An A paper includes 1 to 2 relevant quotes that are smoothly integrated into the paragraph, properly cited, and effectively applied to the thesis statement. We will be having a flipped video on quoting later that will show you how to do this process, and we will be working on this in class. Finally, the writing demonstrates an ability to control elements of effective writing as stated below. We'll take a look at those in just a few minutes. A B paragraph, or a 7-6, they earn a score of a 7 to 6 by responding to the paragraph prompt by creating a reasonable argumentative thesis statement. So these thesis statements are not quite as strong as the thesis statements in a 9 or 8 essay. The author supports and develops his position by synthesizing, justifying, and citing evidence from To Kill a Mockingbird. However, they are less thorough or less precise in their discussion of the topic, and their analysis is less convincing. You still have the 2 relevant quotes, 1 to 2 relevant quotes that are integrated, cited, and applied, although they may not be entirely effective. And the writing demonstrates an ability to control most of the elements of the writing as stated below. A C or a 5 paragraph responds to the prompt by taking a plausible stance on the topic and presenting a simplistic thesis statement. This is more of a Scout matures throughout the novel. Okay, there is a thesis statement, but it's not telling me what causes the maturation. The paragraph tends to be superficial in its analysis and justifications. There may be weak applications of the supports to the argument. However, the paragraph does show an attempted application of ideas. So these paragraphs are still attempting to apply the ideas. It's just not getting there. The essay incorporates evidence, but it may not be relevant. And it cites from To Kill a Mockingbird, but the justification may be weak or missing. Quotes are incorporated, although they may be lacking a lead-in and or application, and the citing may or may not be accurate. And then the 4, 3, 2, and 1, all of these elements are falling apart even more, and I will allow you to read through those on your own. Let's take a look for a moment at the elements of composition down at the bottom. For this particular paper, the only elements of composition I will be assessing, the skills I am assessing, interesting and varied vocabulary. We talked about that before. Vary your sentence beginnings. Don't say scout, scout, she, scout, she. It gets very redundant and very boring to read. As far as grammar goes, I will be looking for correct capitalization, apostrophe usage, spelling, and commas with conjunctions. We will be reviewing this more. We've already talked about it a couple times, but I want to talk about it more thoroughly. And then also, I'll be looking to see that your paper is thoroughly developed, coherent, and unified. So it flows well. It all reads as one smooth paragraph. And finally, I'll be looking for effective transitions between ideas, and we will be talking about transitions over the course of the next couple weeks. All right, there is the assignment. I look forward to working with you on this paper and reading your papers when you hand them in. Have a great day.